Hello and welcome to Creative Photo Folk. I'm Hayley and this week we're exploring the at-home creative photography trick of backlit book pages. As a former librarian, I have a soft spot for any kind of photo that includes a book, and this project is quite interesting and relatively simple to create, requiring only a little preparation to fold some pages of a book and light it with coloured backlights.
What you will need: a room that you can make dark, a dark backdrop of some sort, such as a black card, or you can just shoot in the middle of your dark room, making sure that none of your lights are lighting up the background. A tripod to keep the camera still for longer exposures. You may also need a remote, but I just used my 2-second timer, which gave me the freedom to move around and manipulate my lights. A light source. Now, I have seen this done with mobile phones, but I could not get this to work. I couldn't find a good spot for my phone that provided enough light and wasn't in shot. So once I switched to using a Speedlite, things worked much easier. I then used colored gels, or you could also use a square of cellophane and pop this under the Speedlite's hood. A book, ideally with glossy pages to reflect more light. In hindsight, I wish I'd used one which was just words and not a picture book. So, to shoot. Prepare the book by opening it to its center point. If this isn't easy to find, try dividing the total number of pages by 2 to find the center. To start off with, fold only 2 pages inward to make a heart. Pop your camera on a tripod and set your framing. I used a 100mm macro lens at the start and switched to a 24-70 wide-angle lens later on. I tried backlighting this heart shape but couldn't easily get results I liked. However, I was pretty happy with using front light. I found it easiest to just hold my light and move it around between shots to see what worked best. Once you've exhausted the heart shape, fold 3 more pages either side, so 8 in total, or more if you want. If you want to try and capture a reflection, you can use a piece of black perspex or a pane of glass over black cardboard. Place this to the front of your table and the book more towards the back to give you the space to create a reflection. Position your light behind the book, pointing into the folds. Now, you don't want to actually see the lights, so try and position them lower, facing up. If you don't have a short light stand, you may need to get creative on how to prop up your lights. For settings, I used f13, 1/10 of a second, and ISO 100. The flash was about 1/16 power. For focus, I found that when front lighting, it was best to focus on the very edges of the paper, and when backlighting, I used a deeper focus somewhere central to the folds. My lenses would not focus on the paper easily, so I ended up dialing in focus manually throughout the shoot. Now, without changing anything in your setup, try varying the colors of your light. You can use more than one light to do this, or shoot different images using one light and varying the color each time. And then you can layer these together in Photoshop. I'll show you how to do that shortly. Once you've nailed a few shots, try experimenting with the angle of your lights as well as the position of your camera, including taking some close-ups so you can't tell it's a book. So let's edit some different colors together. Now, as you can see, I have a few options to work with, but I think for the sake of this, I'm going to choose these 4 here. So I have just highlighted them by pressing with my mouse on the first one and shift clicking the last one. And then I'm going to go to Photo, Edit In, and I'm going to open them as layers in Photoshop, which means all 4 will open into the one document. Now, if I were to shoot this again, I don't like that I only created 8. I wish I created 9 so there was a center point. So that's a mistake you can learn from. So basically, it has now opened them all as layers in Photoshop, just like I asked. I'm just going to make sure that this one is selected, shift click the bottom one so all 4 are selected, and I'm going to go to Edit, Auto Align Layers. And this is just to make sure that I didn't, bump my tripod or something like that between shots. I'm going to keep auto selected and forget everything else. And it's just going to take a look to see what's common between the images and try to align those things. But I reckon it'll be pretty good as it is. Well, there was a little bit off there. Anyway, it looks pretty good. And then to crop that out, we will just choose the crop tool with C. I'm going to make sure that my ratio up here is set to original ratio. And then I'm just going to drag in some of those edges to get rid of that blank space. And then I'll hit the tick. Good job. Now, how do we want to do this? We've got 4 colors and 8 pages. So I'm thinking we would like, I might just do them in order just for the sake of this example. So what I will do is add a layer mask to whatever the top layer is, which is this button here. It's the hole in a rectangle. I'm going to choose B, which is my brush tool. So by hitting B on my keyboard, and I'm just going to make that smaller with my square bracket keys, although you can do it up here. You can affect the size and the hardness of the brush. I'm going to make the brush a little bit harder. So I'm going to take it up to about 80%. And I'm going to make sure that my swatch is set with black. Black paints away, white paints back. So you can toggle between the two here. And just for the sake of ease, I'm just going to make it the first and the fourth. So let's paint away this color from every other. Little fold. I'm just kind of carefully doing it at the edges. So now we've got green everywhere, but we only want green in 2. So again, I'll add another layer mask. And then using that same brush, I will paint that away from every third and fourth. Just gotta do it fairly carefully. I'm doing it pretty roughly for you guys, just to maximize your time. Now blue, we'll add a layer mask. This time we'll paint away the fourth ones. You don't have to do it so carefully over layers that are sitting above it, basically. And we want this one yellow too. I'll do this edge quite carefully. A little rough, but that'll do. And so that's how you get your multicolors. To get rid of this here, what I'm going to do is make sure the top layer is selected. Then I will go to my little half pie and choose solid color. I'm going to choose black, so I'll just drag my circle to the bottom right and hit OK. And then I'm going to press Control or Command I to swap the layer mask from white to black. Now black makes it kind of invisible, so everything on this layer can't be seen. And using my brush tool again, which is still loaded, I'm going to swap this back to white now because I want to paint on this layer to say where it's white, please show me what's in this little square here, which is our black. And then I can just paint over those little red spots that were in the reflection. And so I don't particularly love this image, but just to show you what you can do if you have shot in different colors, how to mask them all together.
I hope you've enjoyed this novel idea. If so, please throw a like my way, and with plenty more creative projects to come, you may want to subscribe for more inspiration. Happy creating!